Hello and welcome to another edition of TMO.live. I'm the Media Online's multimedia journalist, Michael Bratt. The old idiom is that a picture is worth 1,000 words. Colin Horner took this to heart when he founded Visual Thinking, a visual communications company. He joins me in studio to discuss the power of pictures and why sometimes they say more than words do. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
What does visual thinking actually do?
Well, it teaches people to think visually, but more importantly now, teaches people to communicate visually.
And how did you get into visual communication?
I came across a concept called mind mapping some 20 odd years ago, and it fascinated me. It's a way of visually collecting and organizing information. I got very interested in it and found a business. I started to sell and support some mind mapping software and teach people how to use it as a business tool.
So is it all about mind mapping?
No, in fact, my current thinking has gone beyond mind mapping. I came across a concept called sketchnoting about 4 or 5 years ago, which is a way of taking notes with visual clues or cues. So you take notes with a combination of pictures and words.
And what is the benefit of this?
People assimilate a picture in a fraction of a second. And there's lots of research to support this, they will then remember pictures a lot longer than they'll remember words. Words that you read or words that you hear, you'll probably remember 20%. Pictures you will remember 90%. So with the speed of the brain assimilating the picture, it's a very fast way of grabbing people's attention, but then a very good way of helping them memorize your message.
So that's the power of visual representation, is the recall.
The speed of assimilation, of as long as you put a context to it. If I simply show you a picture, you'll develop your own context. But if I associate it with a context, with a few words, you'll assimilate it and you'll memorize it and you'll remember my message.
So I'm a brand. How should I be using visual communication to enhance my business?
I would say you must attach some pictures that tell a story about your brand, that tell a story of how your brand can solve a problem, give your market a benefit, and then develop a series of either static, or I've also moved into what I call moving pictures or animated pictures. And if you communicate your brand message through that, A, you'll communicate it faster, and B, they'll remember it a lot longer.
And what are the benefits of those moving pictures as opposed to the stationary ones?
We all love a story. We all love something that evolves and tells us a message. And I think the moving pictures, or what we call animated whiteboard videos, tell a story. So having engaged your market's attention, you can retain it longer because they'll tend to want to see the end result or the outcome of the story you're telling.
When you think about brands, some of the things that come to mind are logos. So the power of a logo and the association that it has. Do you go beyond logos with your visual communication?
Yeah, far beyond logos. And let me clarify, my visual art is very simple art. It's not Leonardo da Vinci. It's very, very simple, almost stick pictures. So yes, I go beyond it because even in a single picture, you can tell a whole story.
And the simplicity of the artwork?
Well, that's, I think, the engaging part about it. If it was more artistic art, your audience would be tending to crit the art for art's sake. The simple picture is so simple, it's just conveying a message.
Can you give us a couple of examples of work that you've done for brands?
Well, the start of my work in this field was I belong to an organisation called BNI, or Business Network International, which is an international organisation that helps people develop their businesses through networking. And I started to use my visual pictures as an educator in the BNI organisation to educate people about networking concepts and communicate to them. But I've also applied it in commercial projects, and one of the most interesting projects that I'm involved in at the moment is I'm involved with something called stroke survivors, which is people who have unfortunately suffered a stroke and have some impediment or impairment afterwards. And I'm doing two things there. I'm helping stroke survivors to use pictures to communicate, which does two things. It helps them to communicate, and it empowers them, because a stroke can paralyze part of your body. But the other exciting thing I'm doing is I'm raising the awareness of the hazards or the dangers of the risks of stroke, and more importantly, how people can help other people who suffer strokes to act quickly. So I'm doing a very exciting project raising the awareness of strokes.
Very worthy cause, and very fascinating insights that we've discussed here.
I'm getting an enormous amount of satisfaction out of it, but what is very interesting is that I'm linking up with people overseas who are doing the same sort of work and finding that pictures and the drawing of pictures can actually help people who've unfortunately had strokes to recover more quickly and be able to communicate.
Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
That was Colin Horner. He's the founder of Visual Thinking. And that's it for this week's TMO Live. Until next week, it's goodbye from me.